Let's see. I wonder if we're live. Are we live yet? Not sure. We are. We are. Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome to Shibuya. Welcome to Yamanote line station, Shibuya. Or that's not a Yamanote line train, actually. That's some other train line, I guess. But yeah, I decided to do another Yamanote line train line walk. I realized it's probably 2 years since I did it last time, and it's such a fun line to walk and also relatively accessible for me. So when I woke up this morning, I feel like walking the Yamanote line today. So that's what I will do. Not all of it, of course, because I'm not Daniel. I'm not crazy like him. But today's plan... So last time I did this Yamanote line loop, some of you might remember, that time I walked it in... I'm pretty sure I walked it in a counterclockwise direction. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I did. So this time I'm planning to do it in the other direction. So... Or wait. I walked in a counterclockwise. Yes. So now I will walk it in a clockwise direction. So I will start here. And my goal for today is... we'll see if I can make it all the way to Ikebukuro. I'm planning today's stream to be about 2 hours in length. So we'll see. As always, anything can happen. You never know. But that's at least my little plan for today. So Shibuya to Ikebukuro, meaning that we will pass Harajuku, Shinjuku, Ogikubo, and Takadanobaba, Meijiro, and finally reach Ikebukuro. We'll see. We'll see. Good, Luke, that you are keeping count of the cones. And I just as I started the stream, I realized my first mistake. I forgot to take out my camera. I really want to document this walk properly, so I'm digging it out of my... Here's my beat up case for the Ricoh GR. So digging it out of my backpack now. There we go. Here we go. I should get sponsored by Ricoh, considering how much promotion I make for their camera. But it's weird. I have like access to so many different cameras in all price brackets. And the one I prefer to take on my walks is actually one of the most simple and one of the cheapest cameras that I own. Not saying that the GR is super cheap or anything, but still. We even have a queue in the household, but I really like the lightness and simplicity of the GR. It works really well for me. Thank you, Brad Ward. Thank you for the first super chat of today. Thank you. Very kind. Endurance Fund, yes. So it's early in the morning here in Japan, 9 o'clock. 3 degrees it says. You see how many layers I'm wearing? It is a bit chilly today, but actually I came here on a packed train, so right now I'm a little bit sweaty, so my jacket is unzipped. But it's gonna be fun. I feel like I don't know, I haven't really discovered that many new areas of Tokyo recently, and I'm always struggling a little bit where to go, but at least the Yamanote line forces me to get a little bit out of my regular stomping grounds, so that should be fun. I want to keep today's walk kind of fairly fast-paced, not do too many detours, but rather focusing on just completing the loop relatively efficiently. So we're of course passing Miyashita Park now, which is up here. Quickly heading towards Harajuku and Omotesando area. Where does the Yamanote run to? So Yamanote is the loop line, the circular line that stops in many of the major neighborhoods in Tokyo. But as a loop line, there's no start or finish really, even though the stations have numbers, and I don't know which station is actually number one. Maybe someone can look that up. Yeah, I was on my way here. I was kind of thinking maybe I should try to head to Shinjuku and start to walk there instead of Shibuya, because so many of my walks start in Shibuya. Well, that's just for my own convenience, but then I didn't have enough time to go anywhere further anyway without having to delay the stream. So Yamanote line is entirely above ground as far as I can remember. So as I mentioned in the beginning, today's plan is to walk from Shibuya to Ikebukuro, passing all the stops on the way there on the Yamanote line, which should be Harajuku, Yoyogi, Shinjuku, Okubo, Takadanobaba, Meijiro, and finally Ikebukuro. We have the train tracks here, so far I'm doing a pretty good job when it comes to staying close to the train tracks. Yamanote line is a heart-shaped loop. Yeah, kind of. It's more like oblong in shape, I think, than circular, but it does have a little, almost like a heart at the northern part. Yeah, that's right. And of course these tracks are shared with a couple of other lines as well. I think this is a Shonan Shinjuku line train. So this is one of the busiest parts of the JR train network in central Tokyo, like the part between Shibuya and Shinjuku, Ikebukuro. So there are several different lines running on that part. And there's also the Fukutoshin subway line, which runs underground, pretty much the same route. Let's see, I think, can I walk? Oh, this back street is pretty boring. Let's stick to Meiji-dori instead. So actually this street, Meiji-dori, is one of the main streets, one of the biggest roads in this part of Tokyo, and I could technically just follow this road all the way up to Ikebukuro as well. Do you remember any of the coffee shops that you had stopped at during the last walk? Not really, no. Can't remember where I stopped for coffee on my last Yamanote line walk. No, sorry. Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank you. Last day for me in Tokyo. I just wanted to say you were a great tour guide. Because of you, we went to Yokohama Illuminations, Setagaya Kinuta Park, maybe Todoroki Ravine. Oh, great. My personal old stomping grounds. How nice. I was in Kinuta Park this weekend as well with my daughter. It's always a nice place to visit. Seems like I'm running today. No, I'm not running. I'm walking in a fairly high pace, yes. But certainly not running. William Chambers, thank you. Maybe someday you can record while riding a bicycle. That old request. I haven't gotten that much very often recently. But yeah, who knows? I'm actually currently hunting for a bicycle. I am bicycle-less at the moment, but I am hoping to buy one soon. We'll see. I mean, I've always felt pretty skeptical to the idea of streaming from a bicycle, but if I don't interact with the chat, maybe it could be a fun thing to do. Yeah, William Chambers, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, thank you. Let me actually check how far it is, Shibuya to Ikebukuro. It's 7.5 kilometers from my current location. But that's the quickest route, which is not really following the train tracks. I don't know, I'm having some Google Maps issues right now. But yeah, I guess around 8k, considering the fact that I already walked for a little while. I was actually hoping to stream yesterday, but yesterday was terribly windy. It was such a weird weather, so it's really not possible to do a stream. I think I will walk through the Meiji Jingu forest path. It's a very skinny building, like a triangular kebab shop, and cheese shop, cheese balls, Mamo kebab. It's so narrow. Yeah, some streamers interact with the chat while biking. I don't know. I'm a coward and I try to always put safety first, so that's not for me. But if the supercar fund gets some love, I could stream from a supercar. Yeah, that's right. If we ever manage to get me a supercar, then I promise I will do a live stream from the car. I'll just let my wife drive it. Oh, here's a nabe vending machine. Haven't seen that before. Different flavors of nabe. I guess what you're actually buying. Wow, it's quite expensive. Are you actually getting all those ingredients? With that price, it should contain everything. I don't know. Can they really keep oysters in the vending machine like this? I'm not sure. Oh. Now we are approaching Omotesando. Omotesando is the street here. And we're pretty close to Harajuku Station, which is my next waypoint. $32. Yeah, maybe. It was like, what, 3,500 yen? The most expensive. That's, I think, a little bit less than $32, but yeah, something in that ballpark. Great. My Apple Watch watch is registering that I'm walking, because I'm walking pretty fast. Then the Apple Watch knows. So crossing Omotesando here. I will head up this way to the station and to Meiji Jingu. Ray, are you hungry? You should be sleeping now, shouldn't you? It's in the middle of the night in Europe. Well, don't tell me. I wonder. No, okay, good. So there was no updates in the chat for a while, so I was getting worried that we bumped into the frozen chat problem again. But actually, Daniel from Daniel and Yuka channel, he was reaching out to Prism, the company that makes this live streaming app that we both use, and gave them a little bit of a he talked to them about the issues we've been having, and the app was updated yesterday or 2 days ago. So hopefully the new update should not give us these problems anymore. We'll see. We'll see. At least for now the chat is working. A bit of a wonder. Thanks for joining. New building under construction. Tokyo just is an ever-evolving beast of a city. So, Harajuku Station, the first of 7 stops that I will pass by today, if everything goes according to plan. This is of course the new station building. The old one was much nicer, but also much more crowded. The old one is gone, it was down there. This is the new one, of course. I'm sure you all know that by now. Tokyo skyline will definitely look different in 20 years, yeah. Tokyo is just constantly evolving. At least the Docomo building has been around for a while now. It was there when I came to Tokyo 15 years ago. Pretty much 15 years ago on the day, I think. My first time to arrive in Tokyo. And I was staying pretty close to the Docomo building back then. So it was a pretty impressive sight. Get our greenery fix sorted out by passing through the Meiji Jingu forest. Daniel, yeah. 15 hours, I don't think it takes that long. It's more like 8-10 hours, isn't it? But yeah, today I'll just walk for 2 hours. Do I think Tokyo is evolving too fast? I think the fast pace of change here in Tokyo is one of the reasons why this place is the way it is and such an exciting place to be. So I think it's kind of fine. I mean, it's fine, but I'm also kind of happy that my own hometown back in Sweden is not changing in this way, because that would feel a little bit sad to me, I think, if I came back to the place where I grew up and everything, all the places, all the buildings that I knew from my childhood were gone. That would be somewhat sad. But yeah, Tokyo is exciting because it's such a dynamic place, and the fast pace of change here is one of the reasons why Tokyo is Tokyo. Steven and his questions are back again. Do I envision myself having grandkids? I hope I'll get to experience that. I wouldn't say I envision it. It's just something I hope for. Where do you want to retire and die? I've talked about that actually many times before. My long-term viewer probably knows that my dream is to retire in Italy one day, on the coast in Liguria, in the northern parts of Italy, where I used to spend most of my summers as a child. It's a place that means a lot to me, and a place where I could definitely see myself retire. Where I want to die near loved ones. Until Tokyo, Japan stops using fax machines, it's not changing fast enough. Yeah, you have that weird paradox, right? Tokyo is changing so fast, but many parts of the Japanese society are really stuck in the past at the same time. So, like for example, I did a job for a Japanese company not too long ago, and in order to get my payment, I have to print the invoice, sign it or put my hanko on it and send to them by post, which is a procedure that I haven't had to do to any non-Japanese client ever, but some Japanese clients still insist on those kind of things, which is quite annoying and frustrating. To be honest, I would say, from my perspective, hanko has not really been necessary for me in Japan. Usually, all those places where they ask for hanko, it's also perfectly fine to just do a signature. So I actually got my first hanko maybe 3-4 years ago. So I lived hanko-less for 10 years in Japan, and it never really caused me any problems. The only reason why I got it was just because I thought it would be a little bit fun to actually have one. Yeah, rollerblades, that would probably speed up things considerably, but it would also raise the danger, the risk of injury to unacceptable levels for me, especially if I would attempt to live stream and interact with my viewers at the same time as I was rollerblading through the crazy, sometimes crazy Tokyo traffic. Are you good at making a budget? I think so, yeah. I grew up with my mom, who was single, and we didn't have a ton of money, so I had to kind of learn budgeting and making to stand on my own legs financially. That's something I had to learn at a relatively early age, and I think it still is quite important to me. Yeah, rollerblades here would definitely not be fun. We just passed 200 viewers. Thanks everybody for joining me today. So if you just joined, today's plan is to walk from Shibuya to Ikebukuro, following the Yamanote line. We are now in Meiji-Jingu, near Harajuku Station. I think the quickest way to walk the train line would be to ride the train. Well, you're having a pretty liberal interpretation of the word walking then. But yeah, riding the train would probably be the fastest way to do it. Absolutely. Maybe it could be challenged by helicopter or airplane, but I cannot afford iPhones and Apple Watches, so I'm okay with managing my income. Yeah. Right now I've finally reached a level that's somewhat comfortable financially. But basically, even just 5 years ago, I was still pretty much living the same life as I did when I was a student. So it's just in the last couple of years that my financial situation has improved considerably. So that's good. Good timing, just as I was becoming a dad. Now those things are way more important, even though I personally don't really mind living on a pretty tight budget. In many cases I prefer that over not having any freedom. But yeah, when you have a child, your priorities do change, of course. Speaking of helicopters and planes, so there's one thing that's been on my mind. I've thrown this question out there before on this channel, but I don't remember ever getting an answer. So actually in Tokyo, there are a few flight lines that you can take which depart in Tokyo and also arrive in Tokyo, because Tokyo has all these remote islands that are part of Tokyo City, technically, but yeah, you can fly there. So you take a flight from Tokyo to Tokyo. I'm wondering if there are any other places in the world that has like regularly scheduled flights that depart and arrive in the same city. Does anyone know? Are there many e-bikes in Tokyo? Yes, e-bikes are extremely popular here, and they're also surprisingly cheap. Now that I'm planning to buy a bike, of course, one of the questions I have to deal with is e-bike versus regular bike. And I'm actually leaning towards a regular bike. But e-bikes, you can get an e-bike for like 70,000 yen. A brand new, which I think is quite affordable. But e-bikes here are, the vast majority of e-bikes I see, they are so-called mamachari. So it's like the bicycles that has like usually a seat and a basket. So either a seat in front and a basket in the back, or the other way around. You also see like sportier types of e-bikes as well, but I would say the vast majority are e-bikes. Are you on Rakuten Sim? Yes, always. Always. It's the one that just works the best in Tokyo. And as soon as I got into the habit of switching off 5G when I do my streams, I feel that the signal with Rakuten has actually become even more stable. So we walked for, and we are about to leave the Meiji Jingu area, and yeah, we're basically approaching Yoyogi Station, which is just another, I don't know, 10 minutes away maybe? So many cones. Green cones. Helicopter, yeah, okay. I mean, helicopter doesn't really count, right? And are those helicopter rides actually scheduled? Or is it more like they do it when there's a request? London also has inner city flights. Oh, really? That's pretty cool. From where to where? Any rules to drive e-bikes in Japan? Not that I know. They are limited to, they have a relatively low speed limit. And yeah, otherwise it's like they're basically treated as regular bicycles legally, as far as I come to understand. So all this area might one day be built upon. It could happen, but I honestly don't think it will happen anytime soon. I think the Meiji Jingu is such an important cultural heritage to Tokyo that I would be very surprised if they decided to just build a shopping mall there instead. London has 5 airports. Okay, so there are actually flights between the airports in London. It's pretty cool. Well, obviously if there's flights, there has to be between airports, but I didn't know that there was like regular scheduled flights between, I don't know, Heathrow and Gatwick, for example. Okinawa might have the same situation as Tokyo. Yeah, but I think Okinawa, I mean, it's a prefecture. It's not the same city. But you're right, there's definitely flights between the islands, which are all part of Okinawa. But I think the islands, they're not like, it's not like some of the islands are parts of Naha, like at least not the biggish islands with their own airports. But yeah, I'm not sure. Are large families frowned upon in Tokyo? No, not really. I just think that most, like the average Japanese household, would be struggling to afford having too many kids. As it's quite expensive to raise even one child here. But I don't think that there's any like attitude that would be like negative towards large families now. Every walk I watch makes me more eager to get to Japan. Well, good thing that you're coming here soon then, bit of a wonder. Good thing that you're coming here so soon. So we are approaching Shinjuku, that high rise over there. That's next to Shinjuku Station. But of course, before we reach Shinjuku, we will also pass Yoyogi. And many of you are probably very familiar with the walk so far, because this route that I've taken this up until now is one that I've walked so many times before on this channel. But I think once we pass Shinjuku, things will be a little bit less familiar, because I don't really go there too often. Will there ever be a second Mini Explorer? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. We're not ruling it out entirely. What's your favorite breakfast cereal ever? I like unsweetened muesli with dried fruits and nuts. That's my favorite. Do you have like barnbidrag in Japan? Yes, we do. We do. It depends a little bit on the municipality, and also the age of the child. But Tokyo just announced that starting quite soon they will start giving an extra 5,000 yen to each family with a child up until the child turns 18. And then that's on top of the system that they already had in place, which probably gives most family between 5,000 to 15,000 yen per month, depending maybe on household income and so on. So since both me and my wife are working, like Japan is still, many things are still based on the old way of having like one person working in the household and then like a housewife. So when both parents are working, you pretty easily reach those like income limits in many municipalities. So for example, in our case, we got lowered child support money from this year, because last year our combined income was too high, and that also adjusts the fee you pay for childcare. So childcare can be anything from, I don't know, from free to about 80,000 yen per month and child. Enjoying working from home now? Yes, she is. She is enjoying not having to go to the office every day and do the commute. That's a massive increase in life quality for her and for us. Tokyo Paul, thanks for joining. Wow. Oh, and by the way, we just passed Yoyogi Station. I didn't really say anything about it, but that old building here, that's Yoyogi. That's the platform for Yoyogi Station. So I guess, yeah, it's been 40 minutes since I started the stream, so I guess Shibuya to Shinjuku about 45 minutes today. That's pretty quick. But again, I am walking probably slightly faster than my average pace. How's the weather been this week? Pretty good. except yesterday when it was like super windy, but otherwise for the last weeks it's been generally very sunny, blue skies, cold and crisp, but not uncomfortably so. As I've said so many times before, I really think the winter weather here in Tokyo is quite pleasant. Mostly because of the blue skies, which is not very common where I'm from. We usually have like gray skies every day during the winters in Sweden, especially in the south of Sweden where I'm from. Sometimes we have like 0 sunlight hours in a month. That's why we get so depressed. I think in the northern parts of Sweden it's much better, but in the south it's generally very gloomy. Ah, thank you, Scott. Okay, so London and Paris also have those. Good way to find your answer. Asking the almighty AI. Bunny beer. No beer today. I don't drink beer before lunch. And today I'm actually gonna have lunch with a viewer after the stream. So I'm not sure if we will have lunch or if we will have a beer as well, but if anything I might do a coffee break somewhere during today's walk. How did you find your job in Japan? Well, I don't really have a job in Japan. I started my own business, and I've been working for myself since I ever came here. So, yeah, I would not really be interested in working for a Japanese company. Of course, with some exceptions, but in general, the idea of finding a normal job in Japan has never really appealed to me. But without any specific skills and or knowledge of the Japanese language, your options are pretty limited, I think. It's English teaching and a handful of other simple jobs like working in a konbini maybe. But even that requires a certain degree of language knowledge. Is it hard to start up a business? Well, the practical part, like just the technical bit, like registering a business, is super easy here in Japan. Especially if you're just doing like what's called kojin jugyo, which is like sole proprietorship. You basically just hand in a paper at the tax office, and that's that. And I think you don't even really have to hand in that paper. You can just, if you have a client, you can just invoice them anyway. So that's super easy. But then, of course, the challenge is to find a way that gives you like a stable income stream big enough for you to cover your expenses, and ideally a little bit more. And that's the challenging part, and that's the challenging part of starting a business anywhere, I guess. But I don't know, like I said, I've been living pretty cheaply for most of my time here in Japan, and for many years I was supporting myself by writing and taking photos for Swedish magazines and newspapers. Should I cross here? No, I should not. That's kind of like what has been the cornerstone of, in my case, for most of this time. And since I'm from Sweden and there hasn't been many people doing what I did in Swedish towards a Swedish audience, I was able to relatively easy get up to speed and have somewhat of a regular income stream that way. Shadow reveal, indeed. It's a bit windy today too. So Shinjuku Station, indeed 45 minutes from Shibuya to Shinjuku today. That's relatively quick. So let's continue towards next stop, which is Shinokubo. This time, I think I'll let you choose. Should I do the eastern side of the train tracks, meaning like this way, passing Kabukicho and Koreatown, or should I take the more slightly quieter and more residential western side of the train tracks? Please let me know, east or west. Vote in the chat now, and as you're voting I will visit the iconic TE Bridge, which I'm pretty sure that many of you will be happy to see. Ray says east, Luke says east. Which side did you take last time? I don't remember. On my last Yamanote line walk, I really don't remember which side I walked. Koreatown. So 3 votes for east, 0 for west so far. And then boom, west, but also more eastern votes. West, yeah, I think east won. So Kabukicho and Koreatown it is. Snap some photos here at this important place, the TE Bridge, where the first video ever on this channel was filmed. I don't know how many 100 photos I have of this street scene, which makes it kind of pointless to shoot it again, but why not? Storage is cheap. This is not the first visit of the bridge for the new year. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure if I came here. I think it might be. Yeah, since the new year, I'm not sure if I've been here. So let's see, can we make it to Ikebukuro in an hour and 20 minutes from here? I think we should be able to do that. Shouldn't be too difficult. Ikebukuro is not too far. I love this morning light and all the light that gets reflected in the buildings. Hey Daniel and Yuka. Oh, you're in Kagoshima again. I see. Nice, nice. Yeah. Unlike you, I'm doing this divided into 2-hour chunks. So today's task is to walk Shibuya to Ikebukuro. Nagasaki. I think I've been there. I think I was there during my big assignment for the Kyushu tourism organization 2 years ago. I like Kyushu, I like Kagoshima. That's Michael Simira. Ikebukuro is not a place I go to terribly often because it's a little bit far from where I live. But today we will go there. I think you'd have to be crazy to attempt it in one session. I think so too. It's only something that someone like you would do. However, I'm a little bit envious. I wish I had the kind of free time required to do stupid things like that. But as you all know, my time is pretty limited. Basically, Mini Explorer is at the nursery from 9 to 4:30. And that's during that time I need to be able to do my streams. I need to do about 4 hours a day of work for the Swedish company I work for, and also any other work I might have, such as portrait sessions or other freelance work. Plus, of course, all the upkeep and everything else related to the YouTube channel. Editing photos for the wallpaper gallery, promoting in social media, etc., etc. So time is something that's always in a short supply for me. My legs are 42 years old. Yeah, mine will turn 41 in a week. Huggy Bear, thank you so much. Coffee Beer Fund. Yes. I am starting to crave a hot coffee actually. Let's see if we can have a break at around the 1 hour mark. Just a little quick coffee break somewhere. Capricorn, indeed I am, indeed I am. It's been quite windy since yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was crazy. I was planning to stream, but it was just too windy. We're killing it, 40 plus YouTubers, yay! It's good. Good to know that I'm not the only one in my age doing this. Hot coffee. Looks like beach weather. Well, it's 4 degrees, so it's not really what I would consider beach weather. Favorite weather to walk in. Yeah, it is not very pleasant. It is not very pleasant. So, passing through the opposite side now of Shinjuku Station and heading down towards Kabukicho. And as always, the Yamanote line train tracks are relatively near. That's not a Yamanote line train though, but still, it could. Apple Watch read BPM? It certainly can, it certainly can. Currently 108. So I'm walking in a relatively quick pace. that silly 3D cat. Does the watch have a thermometer? No, it's probably just getting the temperature from the phone's weather app, which is just getting picked up from a website somewhere. And it's now 10 o'clock. I use Fitbit because I'm a Luddite. I used a Fitbit too, but then my daughter managed to throw it away somewhere. That's when I got the Apple Watch. Shibuya Station. I started the walk at Shibuya Station 56 minutes ago. Now we are at Shinjuku Station. Is there anything I don't like about the watch? I don't really like the concept of having a smartwatch in general. I don't like to get like notifications to my wrist and to look at the watch every now and then. But I've actually switched off most of the notifications and don't really use it that much. But when I'm streaming, it's really convenient, especially to have the Suica, the payment card in the watch. That helps a lot, and this really makes it worthwhile for me. So we are approaching Kabukicho. Just as the traffic light turns red again. Nerdy area. Wouldn't really describe Shinjuku as a nerdy area. That's definitely Akihabara. But yeah. Yamanote line train over there. Finally. Of course, we have the Don Quixote. Let's see if we can hear the world's best song playing somewhere. Nope, I don't hear it. soon I think this new hotel will open, which I heard is gonna be the biggest or tallest or something like that. A big entertainment complex opening here in Kabukicho very soon, or maybe they already opened, I'm not sure. I wonder if the cinema is expensive. I don't go to the cinema so often, but I've always, yeah, as far as I can remember, cinema in Tokyo or in Japan is relatively pricey, by at least compared to Sweden. So this is that new building which will open soon. And here I guess we have people queuing up for some pachinko place. It's interesting how it's always, there's always people lining up for pachinko. But apparently some machines are believed to be better than others, and the professional players line up to get the best machines with the highest chance of winning. Kabukicho Tower. Looks like it's not really open yet. It will be soon. I still think this building looks so cheap. It probably wasn't very cheap though, but it looks cheap. Shinokubo station, which will be the next stop on the Yamanote line. So many people. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they were just queuing up for some pachinko, which is kind of sad when you kind of see how gambling addiction really prevalent among a large part of the population here in Japan, and at the same time it's not really talked much about. The Shinjuku Kuritsu Okubo Koen, Okubo Park. A pretty sad park. Not one where I would be very happy to come with my daughter, at least. It's a baseball court and a smoking area and not much more. Have I run into any snakes? No, don't think so. Can't remember seeing any snakes since that time in Nakameguro when there was a snake in a tree. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really see snakes very often in Tokyo, thankfully. The loudest place I found in Japan was a pachinko parlor. Yes, it's so loud. It's like really horrible horrible environment, loud, and usually also a lot of cigarette smoke, and just generally extremely uncomfortable. We're close to the train tracks. You can see the train passing over there. We are now heading down through Koreatown. So a rat on Daniel's stream. Yeah, rats are definitely more common than snakes here in Tokyo. You see rats pretty often. And I think on my last 4K video from Enoshima, I bumped into some, what are they called? They're called hakubishin in Japanese. Kind of a weird, they look a little bit like raccoons, but they're not raccoons. They look like filthier version of raccoon. Where's the winter? On the Japan Sea coast of Japan. There's tons and tons of snow right now. Still no snow in Tokyo this winter. We'll see if there will be any. Okay. Yeah, you can definitely see rats in Kabukicho quite easily. Kabukicho and Shibuya. Like when people always say that Japan or Tokyo is so clean, then you know that they've never been to Kabukicho or Shibuya after midnight on a weekend. Because then it's not very clean. Mast Pond Civet, yeah, that's right. Civet? I don't know even how to pronounce that. But yeah, that's the correct English name. Now that you mention it, I remember it. It's such a strange name, so it's difficult for me to remember. I'm from Toronto. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Did you eat otoshikoshi soba? Yes, I did. Soba, I did have osechi ryori, but no fukubukuro for me. It's also a relatively sad park, but not as bad as the previous one. At least this one looks like there's a fun slide over there. I think Mini would enjoy that. It could have some a bit more greens though, wouldn't hurt. How's the flow of tourists into Japan now? There's a lot of tourists. Not as many as before. Not as many as pre-pandemic, but still compared to half a year ago, 1 year ago or 2 years ago, there are way more tourists right now. Since Japan is now open again for most people. $365 viewers. Thanks everybody for joining on this walk along the Yamanote line. So today we are doing Shibuya to Ikebukuro. I just passed Shinjuku and now I'm getting close to Shin-Okubo station. So now I'm walking through Koreatown. These streets is really such a big difference, like night and day. At night these streets are super crowded and there are so many small shops and restaurants around here and it's very, very lively. But this time of the day it's surprisingly quiet. we'll see if we will find a good slide to slide down somewhere along the Yamanote line. As I mentioned so many times before, we are now very close to my old language school. I'm not sure, it could have been in this building actually. The place where I went to study Japanese for a year in 2010 to 2011. But of course, no longer a student. But once upon a time, I came here every day to go to language school. That was fun. It was a fun time. Also love how Japanese people, or shouldn't blame it on just the nationality, but how people in this city rarely follow the traffic rules when they are on bicycles. It always blows my mind. Like, otherwise there are so many rules, and everybody, or most people here, are very obsessed about always following the rules regarding anything, but it's like that attitude completely disappears when people get on bikes here. Do I know any Catholic families in Tokyo? No, I don't. I don't think I know any Christian families either. Or any Muslim families either. Most people I know here are either not religious at all, or they are Japanese and doing the regular traditions, such as going to the shrine after New Year's and a few other important religious activities. Did that language school help? Yeah, I think so. What baito did I do during it? I did not do any baito. Since I'm from Sweden, we have a very good system where you can get a student loan to cover your living expenses when you're a student. Because the attitude in Sweden is that when you're studying, you should focus on your studies. You should not have to work in order to survive. So yeah, I was getting money from the Swedish government, which I'm still paying off, but it's a very, very low interest loan. And yeah, I was also starting my freelancing business on the side as I was a student here. But it is expensive, yeah. I think back then when I went, I think it was about 1,000,000 yen for a year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's even more expensive now. Which is quite a lot, especially, again, coming from Sweden where all education is free. It was kind of, was the first time ever for me to pay for education. How old was I? 20, 25, 26, 27-ish. So in Sweden, education is free, plus you get money, both as a stipend, but also a part of it is a loan from the government. It's one of the best things about Sweden, I think. How extremely accessible education is for everybody. Did I get a business startup visa when I moved to Japan? No, I was well, first I had a student visa when I was a language student, and then after that I was on. Actually, I don't think I've seen this place before. It looks like it's a bit of reconstruction going on here, but I don't know if it's just a showroom for houses. It's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, after my student visa, I was having a journalist visa. So that's the route I took, which is maybe not the most common. Huh, nice. This is, I think it's a showroom for fancy houses. If anyone is planning to buy your own house in Japan, you can come here and have a look at a few different designs. Did I ever take the JLPT? No, I did not. I did not. I don't like taking tests. Foreigner, I have to pay nearly 20,000 euros in Sweden for masters. Yeah, if you're a non-European, you have to pay in Sweden. But in a way, I think it makes sense. It used to be free for everybody a long time ago, or like 10, 15 years ago. But then they changed the rules. But I think the attitude now is that it's free for those who live or who are likely to live in Sweden and contribute to the Swedish tax revenue. So next stop. Oh, I didn't really do a close-up of Shinokubo station. Just realized that now, but yeah, we passed it 5-10 minutes ago down there. So next stop is Mejiro, which is a little bit further down this way. Quotes, of course. Well, I don't know what you mean. I would not say that you need quotes to explain how much school costs in Sweden. But of course, I mean, you have to buy books. You have to... No, you don't have to pay for food. I think books is the only thing you need to pay for when you are studying in Sweden. Then again, you also get this monthly stipend if you're a Swedish citizen, meaning that you will still be at a net positive even after paying for the books and those other things. HT, I see. You've been following me since my first video, but you rarely watch me now. Why is that? Don't you like me anymore? Is the next stop Takadanobaba? I thought it was Mejiro, but maybe it's Takadanobaba and then Mejiro. That's how rarely I come to this part of town. I don't even know the order of the Yamanote line train stops anymore. Well, yes, of course, we pay taxes in Sweden. So course, that's where the money comes from. But I think that's a very good system. Much better than here in Japan, where you both have to pay high taxes, but you don't get any free education. Then I prefer to pay high taxes and get something good out of it, like we do in Sweden. If you had to take JLPT test, which would be your current level? I think if I had to take the test, I would probably try to take N2, and I would probably fail. Maybe if I would make like a focused effort and like study for like a couple of weeks ahead of the test, I would be able to pass the N2, I think. But you know, those tests are like, it's so much things that you don't really use in everyday life. And I still think my Japanese grammar is pretty poor. So I probably wouldn't like pass the test per se, even though I think my everyday conversational level is probably comparable with upper N2. Yeah, no, I don't think I would pass N2, but I know, who knows, who knows. Walking just next, basically behind these bushes, you have the train tracks. So it gets a little bit loud every time a train is passing. I think I was right though. I think this is Mejiro coming up here. And then there's Takadanobaba, and then Ikebukuro. Or I'm getting confused now. No, maybe it's Takadanobaba first. We shall soon find out. Outside of Tokyo trips in the near future? Yes! I'm actually doing one tomorrow, and then I'm doing another one next week. We'll see how much I'll be able to share with you on the channel, but definitely the one tomorrow will be shared with you. This is a very, very miniature slide. I recently read how Sweden had increased gun violence in 2022. Yeah, it's we have a gang crime problem in Sweden right now. So we have lots of kids, usually kids, many of them aren't older than teenagers, running around shooting each other. So I think last year was the deadliest ever in Sweden, with around 60 gun-related deaths, which I believe is about 1,000 of the number of gun-related deaths in US. So it's still pretty low compared to US, but it's very high by Swedish standards, and it is a big problem. I really hope that the politicians and the authorities will be able to deal with that soon. Scott, thanks for your understanding. Yeah, I think if I want to ride a slide, I want to ride an epic slide. That was not an epic one by any means. Somewhere that Sweden is having issues coming to terms with the fact that it's starting to have those problems. Yeah, I think in some ways maybe Sweden has been a little bit too naive and sweeping the problem under the rug for a little bit too long. And I also think that, you know, Sweden has traditionally been such a very safe country for so long. So even though the problems we're having now are actually not, I mean, put in an international perspective, Sweden is still like an extremely safe country, for example. But from a Swedish perspective, yeah, going from hardly any shootings when I was a child to having someone getting shot every week is, of course, a pretty dramatic change and a big problem. So it's obviously very sad. Is snow coming soon? Not as far as I know. There's no snow in the forecast for Tokyo anytime soon. I want to know about tomorrow. What do you want to know? Bit of a wonder. Where I'm going? That's a secret. That's a secret. Now we are approaching Takadanobaba. Now I know where we are. I can even see the Tokyo Metro sign down there. Here's a New Yorkers cafe. Interesting. Since I'm not a New Yorker, I am not allowed to go there. Bit of a wonder. Yeah, I prefer to have a bit of a surprise factor. But I can tell you as much as it's gonna be a walk with lots of nature and beautiful scenery. Why is Sweden having such increase in shootings and crime? Well, that's the $10 million question, isn't it? If you ask some people, they would blame it on immigration and or poor integration. If you ask others, it would be, the finger would be pointed at the increased use of drugs in the Swedish society, and that a lot of these drugs are being sold by these gangs who are killing each other in order to control the areas. Yeah, it's complicated. The truth is most likely a combination of factors. So why Yamanote line today? Why not? I woke up and felt like, why not do Yamanote line today? So I did. It's not more complicated than that. So here's the Tokyo Metro Takadanobaba station. Here's bus stop, Takadanobaba station. And we will soon also be able to see the JR Takadanobaba station. Here's the Seibu Takadanobaba station, but I think the JR is in there too. They're under the same roof, as far as I can remember. Yeah, Yamanote line straight ahead. Who's the viewer I will have lunch with? Well, I don't know. Or I know, but I don't know if I want to tell you, so I won't. I wonder if we can walk down here. This little slope looks kind of tempting to me. Let's hope that it's not a one-way street. So we just passed a 90-minute mark. 90 minutes to walk from Shibuya to Takadanobaba. Ah, a bit of a wonder, you got your JR pass this week. Nice. Nice, nice. But yeah, I'm generally quite happy to meet my viewers for coffee or a beer or a lunch, especially if it's someone who has actually participated and interacted with the channel for a while. Then I will most likely always try to make time to meet up, even though my schedule is quite busy and I usually don't have too much time. I mean, it's like either I would have to make this stream shorter in order to free up more time to meet this person, but I'll try to at least meet up if I can. Of course, extra priority will always be given to my patrons. And over there looks like a little coffee shop. Let's see if we can grab a coffee there. Oh, it's a nice place, next to this little canal. Thank you, Brad Ward, a little bit extra for the 90-minute mark. This one for the supercar fun. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, yeah. Reflection reveal. Thank you, Brad. Yeah. Other than Brad, it's been a pretty low number of super chats on this walk, which is a bit unfortunate, but I guess everybody's broke after the holidays. At least in Sweden, January is always being called like the poorest month of the year because everybody spends so much money during the holidays. Is it open? It is open, yes. Great. Let's see if we can get a decent coffee here. Okay, they only have... No, okay, they have latte. Yeah, okay, good. こんにちは。ホットのカフェラテお願いします。テイクアウトでよろしいですか。はい。あ、Thank you, bit of wonder. Thank you. I don't have any interest in drugs. The person asking about that. I don't really care about it. Remember the days which I used to watch you and you had 700, 800 viewers? Yeah, that was the good old days. Maybe 2 years ago. These days, I never see those.
お会計450円になります。
はい。スイカで払えますか？スイカで払えますか？
あ、大丈夫です。
はい、お願いします。
お願いします。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
少しお待ちください。
はい。Okay, let me change that. I meant I'm not interested in drugs that are not legal where I live. Yes, Daniel. Sorry I didn't have time for more, but it was a nice little sushi lunch. Hi. ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Okay, I got a coffee. We should be approaching Meijiro station relatively soon, and from there it's not very far to Ikebukuro. Okay, bit of wonder. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of months' time. Surprisingly tasty coffee. And look at this cute little character on the cup. How about book 100 plus amazing photos of owls? That sounds like a book that I would love to have a peek at. white chocolate mocha available in Japan? I don't know. I don't really go to Starbucks very often, and when I do, I just buy a regular drip coffee or cappuccino. But I think they have it. I think my wife likes those. She likes some sort of mocha from Starbucks. Yes, OK Mart, one of relatively few low-price supermarket chains in Japan. We have one quite close to our house as well. That's where we buy our fruits, like frozen berries that we have in our oatmeal every morning. Oh, look, here's a little coffee wagon. Too bad I just got a coffee. Otherwise, this one looks very nice too. Magari coffee. I'm one of the few weirdos who doesn't even drink alcohol. Well, in Sweden, it's very common these days. A lot of Swedes my age actually do not drink alcohol. I think there's even plenty of bars that only serve like non-alcohol beers and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say you're a weirdo because of that. I really enjoy my beer breaks and some sake from time to time, but other than that, I don't really drink that much alcohol these days either. But I was drinking a lot when I was in my 20s though, so. Sorry, I'm focused on drinking my coffee. That's why I'm so quiet. I'm at the same age and you joined the language school in Japan. I see. Well, it's everybody's choice if you want to drink alcohol or not. When I came to Japan, I didn't know anyone here, and a lot of the people I know now are people I met while being intoxicated. So for me, alcohol was kind of like played an important role into building my social life in Japan. But of course there are plenty of ways, and you can go to bars without drinking alcohol too. It's just that I have too much anxiety, so if I'm in a crowded place with loud music, I need to drink in order to not panic. What area of Tokyo is this? So we are getting close to Meijiro station on the Yamanote line, which is just up at the end of the street. So I started the walk in Shibuya 1 hour and 45 minutes ago, and I've been walking more or less straight up to the north today. This is a pretty nice area. I think it's quite expensive to live here. It's like a little upper class pocket squeezed between the somewhat rougher neighborhoods of Okubo and Ikebukuro. Meijiro is considered a pretty good area. Also here on my right is Gakushuin. Not really sure how to pronounce the name, but it's a university where the members of the imperial household usually goes. So it's quite high status educational facility, which contributes to the good image of this neighborhood. How do you describe the rougher neighborhoods in Tokyo? Well, I mean, by Western standards, they're pretty tame, but it's more like it's mainly older buildings. People on the lower side of the income scale lives there, and sometimes there's quite a lot of adult entertainment facilities located in those areas. But from my Western perspective, even the rougher areas of Tokyo are very safe. I never really feel unsafe anywhere in Tokyo. But if you would ask some Japanese people, they would say that areas like Okubo or Shinjuku, at least parts of Shinjuku, are dangerous. But again, it's all about perspective. So, Meijiro Station here, meaning that we're only one stop away from today's goal. So here's Meijiro Station. Change sides here and walk on the western side of the tracks for a while. I remember Okubo being the Korean area of Tokyo. Yeah, that's right. It's where the Koreatown is located. Over there you can see Ikebukuro. I finished the coffee. Let me see if I can find a trash can and see more. Trash can. Why is the 7-Eleven black in color? Yeah, I don't know. It's a slightly different type of sign than the one you most commonly see. Gimbal turned very weird. I gimbal is drunk. Let's see, what else is it? How is Tokyo for people of different ethnicities? You find foods and stuff from different countries in Tokyo. Yeah, it really depends on what ethnicities you're thinking about. But I mean, Tokyo is somewhat diverse, I would say. I mean, you can find certain pockets in the Tokyo region where like different minorities tend to gather. So it's not as obvious as maybe in many Western cities, but I think there's like somewhere in Kanagawa where there's like a lot of Vietnamese people are living, and then there's like lots of, I think, Pakistani living somewhere in Saitama. Also in Okubo you have a little street corner with lots of like Muslim related food stores. There's an Indian area in Kasai in the east of Tokyo, and probably a bunch more that I don't know of, but so there are different areas like that, but I think the Koreatown in Okubo is maybe the most well-known and kind of obvious one, because it's so much of an entertainment district as well. Many of the others I mentioned are more like they're just very residential and most people don't know about them. Could you take a portrait photo of this road? Yeah, sure. Let's just actually pretty nice this direction, where you see the buildings of Shinjuku in the background. So of course what Luke is referring to is my wallpaper gallery, which is available to my Patreon supporters. So there you can download high resolution versions of most of the photos that I take during my walks. Kanagawa is that place, which beach? Well, yeah, Kanagawa is a massive prefecture just south of Tokyo. It's where Kawasaki and Yokohama are located, as well as many of the beachfront towns like Kamakura, Chigasaki, Odawara. Kanagawa is a very, very big area. Shonan Beach, that's right, that's in Kanagawa. Thank you, Warren from Toronto. Americans like Roppongi and Taiwanese love Ueno. Yeah, maybe. And then also, let's not forget, you have like Yokosuka, which is kind of like America town because of the big military base there. Yokosuka is also in Kanagawa prefecture, south of central Tokyo. In a way, Tokyo is more diverse than what most people say, or what most people seem to think, but it's still like a very small percentage of the population which are non-Japanese, compared to in the West, for example, where you have much more multicultural cities in general. That's a cute little coffee shop. I would go mental living near those rail tracks. Yeah. I don't think I would be very happy living next to them as well. What am I going to eat for lunch with the viewer? I don't know. We haven't decided. Haven't really talked about that. We just decided to meet up and have lunch together. Well, we're meeting in Ikebukuro. But Ikebukuro has quite a lot of everything. Oh, can we walk down here maybe and get closer to the train tracks? I think we can. What time is it now in Japan? It is now almost 11 o'clock. I started today's walk at 9 and it's almost 2 hours ago since I started. So we are almost at 11 o'clock. What's your favorite food? I love sushi and sashimi. That's probably my favorite food. But I like a lot of different Japanese foods. So fortunately I don't have to choose only one. I can eat a lot of things. And most of the things that are common here in Japan are things that I enjoy very much. Caesar salad is fine, I guess, but I wouldn't say that it's anywhere near the top of my list. Thank you, Luke. TE Appreciation Fund. Thank you. Bread. Thank you, Luke. Even though I'm not wearing my pink shorts, you're appreciating me. And I appreciate that. Thanks. By the way, if someone sees George in a chat at some other channel or something, please tell him that I hope he will come back to my channel soon. I miss having him in the chat, and it sounds like a very unfortunate reason why he's not here anymore. Is this another posh area of Tokyo to live in? I wouldn't say Ikebukuro is posh, no. It's a major district, lots of train lines stopping here, so that kind of pushes up prices. I think it would be relatively expensive to buy a house around here right now, but Ikebukuro is still considered a little bit of a, I don't know, some people call it the Shibuya for Saitama people, and Saitama is generally an area which is not, like, it's pretty cheap to live there and not very high status. And yeah, Ikebukuro is Shibuya for Saitama people. That's one of the first things I got told about this neighborhood. I kind of like Ikebukuro. I find it a bit exotic, and it's pretty vibrant and colorful and a fun place. But it's not really considered a very fancy area. Back streets are cat streets. Yeah, that's true. And a good thing to point out always. Is gay marriage legal in Japan? Not really, not technically marriage, but more and more cities have started to adapt some sort of like partnership registration system. I think you can do that in most parts of Tokyo now, but you will not be treated equal under the law as a heterosexual married couple. So a lot of LGBT people are still pretty vocal and fighting for this. I think we are getting really close to Ikebukuro station, and we also just passed the 2-hour mark, so I will soon wave goodbye to you. I think there should be a kind of a square coming up relatively soon where I will wrap things up for today. But as always, thanks everybody who joined me today. Hope you enjoyed this walk, and since Yamanote line is a little bit easier for me to get to than the Chuo line, I think we should be able to continue this series relatively soon, maybe as soon as this coming weekend, who knows. Billman just joined now. That's too late, yeah. You missed 2 hours of walking. And I am about to wave goodbye soon. Yeah, HT, sorry about that. There was a little bit of unclear guidelines from me to my moderators, and sometimes they were unnecessarily harsh. But we've talked about that, and that should not happen again. So I hope you're okay, and I hope you will apologize accept my apology if you feel that you were treated unfairly. Things are not so strict anymore, but of course everybody still needs to behave. But yeah, there was especially some like emoji use that was treated a little bit too harshly. Bok, you tried to give me a super chat, but it didn't go through. That's too bad, but thanks anyway. Thanks anyway. I appreciate it. Here's the Tokyo Metropolitan Theater, which is a pretty cool building actually. And I believe the station is just here, around the corner. Yes, Brandon, please tell George, please tell him that I'm sorry. I don't even know the background or anything, but I understand that it's something related to those things I just talked about. And yeah, I hope that he will be back, because he was such a fun character and misses stupid jokes and silly comments. But yeah, I think that will be it. That's the JR Ikebukuro station over there. So we made it in 2 hours and 5 minutes from Shibuya to Ikebukuro. It's been a good walk. I enjoyed it. Now I'm looking forward to a good lunch before I deal with everything else I have to deal with today. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all soon again. So there will be a stream tomorrow, early afternoon Japan time. Probably starting around 1 plus minus an hour or two. Japan time. So please join me for that. It will be vastly different from today's walk, I can tell you that much. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much and see you next time. Hej då! Auf Wiedersehen und Matane. Tschüss!